I just realized I had not done a daytime today. It has been so hot in Los Angeles that in the afternoons, the last thing I want to do is do a show, to be quite honest. It was like, nope, I'll just sit here and not do anything. I'm James Lott Jr. Of course, this is more of a somber episode. Um, there's some topics I do want to talk about. That's to do with the daytime. Obviously, daytime today, some things to do with stuff. And I'm setting up chat. Um, doing that. Good morning, Judy. Yes, so some tragic things are happening right now, which are very interesting. A couple are car crashes. But before we get into that, I wanted to just give my heartfelt heart out to Robin Griggs, Wiley, and her family. Robin Griggs did some, we just watched my every video, how funny. She did some daytime in the past. You can look her up on her IMDb. And it was just announced that she is going into hospice care. So if you know what hospice care is, that means it's the end. And she had cancer off and on. And I was supposed to interview her this year, and we tried, and her treatments got in the way. We couldn't get together to do it. So I'm sad that I didn't get a chance to actually talk to her, have her on screen, and have her be able to say whatever she wants to say. You know, sometimes people have things they want to share and have out there for the world to have, and I'm sad I didn't get a chance to do that. So my heart goes out to Lisa Rodrigo, who is her PR person and everything. And I just want to say I'm really sorry to hear that this is not happening. Cancer sucks. Cancer is just like, doesn't care who you are. I've lost so many people to cancer. It's not even funny, including my godmother 2 years ago. My mother had breast cancer. So far, she survived, but it can always come back. And that's something that's not, I tried to think about, but so far she's cancer free. But I had a couple of cancer scares in my life. So I know how the C word can change everything. But yes, to Robin's families, I want to say that first to her. My heart goes out. As you saw my title, there is several things that are going on. And for those of you first, I want to mention Brea, not the TV show, which I love. It's coming back in September. But the streets. So some of you guys who know where I live, actually, some of you guys don't know where I live because I have to keep it secret, but know where I live, started contacting me when I heard about the horrific car crash that happened on the corner of La Brea and Slauson here in Los Angeles, in the Windsor Hills area of Los Angeles. This nurse, 90 miles an hour, killed 6 people, including an unborn child. I'm sure you guys have all heard about it. It's so weird for me because it's a national story now. And literally, I live a mile away from that intersection. I am on the intersection all the time. I was just there a few days ago. Right now it's crowded. Everybody's over there looking at everything. But I mean, that's an intersection I go down regularly. It's in my neighborhood. And this person apparently wasn't drunk, and she was a nurse, and now her life is over, and their lives are over. And it's just this whole thing with that. Then we have Heche, just ironically, a few days later, speeding down a street and crashes into a home. And now it's been announced that she's basically not going to live. But in her system, they found cocaine apparently and other stuff. There's still reports coming out. I saw, it's funny. It's very split online, which of course it's online, right? And Heche is really funny because when she was Dancing with the Stars, my chocolate twin, Tony Moore, began a friendship with her, kind of. He was commenting on her and her love of life, and her trying to do the show. And she completely reciprocated and was like featuring in her videos and was talking to him. And then she actually had Tony had her on one of his shows on IG, and it was a wonderful show. She was so bright and funny and loving and wonderful. And I've been checking on Tony. I haven't talked to him this morning, see how he feels. But I just feel like this was such an interesting thing because he really did. It was what he really did. He became friends with her, so to speak. I mean, it was a really cute moments between them. You know, Anne Heche has been around for a long time, and many of you guys are bringing up, of course, Vicky and Marley on At Another World. She had a primetime show, which I'm blanking out the name of it right now. You guys all know. You guys probably can figure it out for me. But I loved the show. I loved that show so much. But she's been around for a long time, and is part of our daytime and primetime lexicon. And you know, and she has two young kids. And there's a lot of stuff. There are people who are just like so angry at her, which I understand. Here's what I was saying. I wrote on Twitter yesterday where grace and compassion has been replaced by judgment, and I said something else. And I think it's true. And I feel like all we do is judge. That's all we do. But I also feel like there are several ways to think. You can have two feelings about the same thing. We're adults, we're humans, we have that. And you can feel bad because there's no winners in the whole thing. The person whose house got just destroyed and their lives were upheaval, and they need money to get things together. I feel horrible for them. They're minding their own business. Luckily, no one was killed. She didn't take anything out with her. It's possessions. I've lost possessions in fires. So I understand what that feels like, but it is just stuff. And you can take that how you feel. You can take how I say that how you feel. I don't really care. But it's just stuff. We have so many attachments. I'm an organizer, so I know we have so many attachments to stuff, and I totally get it. But it's just stuff. I used to always make jokes that if you're ever in a fire, what would you grab? That's always the thing I always ask you, right? Well, I've been in a fire, and you know what I grabbed? My animals. That's what I grabbed. I should say that's who I grabbed. I didn't grab pictures. I didn't grab CDs. I didn't grab that beautiful vase that was given to me by grandma so-and-so. You literally, in that moment, I literally was in a moment where it was smoke coming in the house. I had to get out of the house. I had to throw some shoes on. I had my phone, and I had to save the cats. That's what I did in my fire. Nothing else really mattered at all in those moments. And you learn that. I've been in car accidents. I've fallen downstairs. I've been through all kinds of stuff. And you do learn in the moment what's important. But also, you do also know everyone's human. And there are addiction issues. There are mental health issues, sometimes intertwined. And so it is not my place to judge everyone for actions that happen out of mental illness and or addiction. It's horrible. I'm a victim several times over of several horrible things that were done to me because of someone's mental health. But I survived. I'm here. And I just look at it's sad all around. And Haitian's kids will not have this legacy left behind. It's not a happy legacy. Literally nobody wins. It's a sad thing just everywhere. And it's okay to express sadness for her. It didn't, whatever was going on in her life, her demons in her life were her demons. And whatever went on that time period, I don't look at her as a monster. I'm seeing the harshest thing said to her. But I'm like, I just don't. I just don't. I see that's just a really sad tragedy. She had to do that. That she just somehow, whatever she was on, decided to get in the car. That's tragic right there also. And And if she was, if she turned to be okay, like the other woman who actually is okay, yes, I'd be like, yes, you need to take steps to have them pay for what they do. There are consequences for every action that we take. And I'm not having a problem with that. But this super judgment that's borderline just menacing. I think it's unnecessary, and I think it's too much. Anne Heche did have a career that was wonderful. She was a wonderful actress and producer, and she was. And we can feel that. We can feel the loss of that. I saw someone posting her Emmy win when she was young and posting some things of hers. And it's a shame. I can't remember the name of the show. I gotta look it up. There's a show that she was in that I loved. I loved. I gotta, because I love the show so much. It was. Oh, she was in Hung, which I love that show. That was a good show. That was 3 seasons. That's the craziest title. She also was. Did I listen to it? Where's that show? Men in Trees. That was my show. I loved Men in Trees. That was like, oh my God, I loved Men in Trees. That was my show. But yes, for her to play twins is not an easy thing too. Back then, anybody who plays twins, they get props on TV. Most of them props. But it's a sad all around. It's really sad. There's nothing, nobody wins the situation. But I do feel for people who have addiction issues. It's not easy. Addiction is a really tough thing. Fortunately for me, I don't have any addictions to drugs or alcohol, but I'm probably addicted to food on some level. I probably am. I'm probably addicted to sugar. And I do less sugar than I used to. But everybody has addictions to something sometimes. Things that we don't stop eating or don't stop drinking. People drink addicted to soda. I'm addicted to coffee. I know I am. What's coffee? If I don't have a cup of coffee, I get a headache. I get sick. I'm totally addicted to it. I stopped drinking coffee for like 7 years. After I passed the sickness part, I was okay. But I'm telling you, it was tough. It was like detoxing off of drugs. It was tough. I completely got off of it, and then I never wanted. I said, I just missed having coffee, and I had 2 sips, and I was back, just like that. So, who am I to judge anybody who has addictions to anything else? I'm not stopping drinking. I'm not gonna stop drinking coffee. I said, I'm not gonna stop. I like food. I'm fat, and I got fat during the pandemic, and that's because I ate. I wasn't eating super crazy, but I did eat. I was eating things I probably shouldn't be eating. Addicted to JLJ. That's very sweet of you. But you know what I mean? It's like seriously, we're all addicted to things. Some people are addicted to video games. People are addicted to porn. People are addicted to the soap operas. People are addicted to social media. Some people are addicted to all kind of stuff. We all have addictions of some sort. We all have things that we're into super heavily, and that happens. And, it is. And so I don't judge the people because I'm like, I'm one of you on some level in terms of that. And there's a whole thing of like, we need better services. We need better, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff that we need that's like, better to help people with mental health issues, addiction issues. There are programs out there, and I have family and friends who are doing wonderful. They've gotten help, and every day they work it out. And the News Overnight just came out. Let's see who's the News Overnight just. Oh, side note, while I'm sitting here, it just came out. Let's see who's in the cover. It's General Hospital. General Hospital's in the cover, you guys. GH changes forever. I'm surprised that's the cover because I'm like, the Days stuff is not on the cover. That's on the cover. Okay, I tell you, they're working on something. Pepsi, right? Because I mean, that's the thing. People are addicted to. So I mean, I have a friend who's addicted to Diet Pepsi. He can't not drink it. He tried, and it was like I remember he tried. I remember one day we were like, "Oh my god, you got some Pepsi. You're crazy. It's crazy." You know, but that's the thing. But we are some of us are doing stuff that is hurting us. Some of us are. Some of I totally. I mean, we're that's the thing. We're all human. Yeah, we have to somehow. I mean, I know it's like a very basic statement, right? We're all human. Everybody's human, but we do have to remember that sometimes that we're all susceptible to all kinds of stuff and making decisions or doing things. It's all normal, at some level. And sometimes we overindulge, and sometimes we do hurt ourselves. It totally happens. And I think that's the thing. We have to kind of remember that, right? We have to kind of remember that and kind of almost forgive ourselves a little bit. Try to work on stuff. We always should try to work on stuff. But it's like it happens. Um, I was sitting here during the pandemic, not going anywhere because it was the pandemic, and I wasn't exercising like I should because I just wasn't out. Because in LA it was horrible here, and everything was just like down. So I wasn't walking. I knew we had the Black Lives Matter stuff happen. All that was going on. So I wasn't walking nowhere. I'm a black man. I wasn't walking nowhere. I wasn't doing anything. I was staying in my house, my yard. And I didn't exercise much. It wasn't crazy, but I just kept eating just whatever I wanted. Whatever I got my hands on, I ate it. And also sometimes it felt good to have certain things because the world was crazy. I was trying to calm myself down. Um, and little by little, month by month, not paying attention. Oh, okay. Why didn't I? Little by little, kept going, and they said I knew. I was like, I'm fat. Like, where else fat come from? This is what the fuck's going on here. And I was like, oh, that's what happened because I know these things happen, and so that's what you know. But I think the thing is, we have to. We're so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves that a lot of times that fuels the addiction more. And that's what I'm saying. We have to forgive ourselves more. It's kind of go, okay, so I slipped today. Got it. So this happened today. Got it. Like you have to give yourselves some kind of grace and compassion to yourself. It's and Melbourne was something that it's just saying that I'm just saying, yeah, there are people who don't consider doctors or don't go to the doctor or don't, and it's just again, I'm not going to judge them. I'll advise them to go. I'll say you should do this, that, the other. But I understand. I totally get it. We are none of us are all of us are fallible. None of us are perfect, and there are things that we just don't do. There are things I know I probably should do that I don't do. But we will look at ourselves so heavily, which actually feeds into and talk down to ourselves. As there are folks who, last night someone on Twitter tried to tell me how to run my channel, and I was just like, fuck you. I run my channel however I want to run it. I'm not trying to compare me to Alan Locker. I'm like, I'm not Alan Locker, I'm James Lott Jr. I'm like, whatever, bitch. And so I'm like, that's fine. But other than that, I'm like, life goes on. Like I mean, people can say stuff to me, and I'm like, whatever. But myself, if I look at myself or view myself a certain way, if I look in the mirror and go, God, I just really hate the way I look, we are hardest on ourselves. So we have to find a way to kind of come out of that a little bit and go, okay, yes, I didn't do this. I will try to do this. And little steps. My organizing thing is small steps to large rewards. Big steps don't always happen, but small steps. If you want to change, there's some folks who don't want to change, and they don't want to. They don't give a fuck. They don't want to change, and that's life. But sometimes you want, and sometimes you really do want to change, and you don't know how. That's legitimate. There are times you want to change, and it just seems really hard. That's legitimate because it isn't easy. When you get a habit, it's hard to break a habit. It really is, you guys. That's any kind of habit, anything good or bad. It's hard to break a habit. So you're like, how do I break this habit? Like, how do I do it? It's not easy. It's not easy. And so you have to give yourself again. And sometimes you slide back. Sometimes you're good for a week. That's what was funny. It was funny because during the pandemic, I don't know how much you guys remember or whatever. It was like it's 10,000 years ago. It's only 2 years ago. But it was this whole movement of, if you don't want to do anything, it's okay. And at first, I was judgmental on that, going, okay. So now just sit around, do nothing, and be worried. Well, because I was busy doing 10,000 things. So I said, okay, I have to remind myself, everybody's different. And for me, if I just sat around being worried, I would be in a really horrible state. I would be horrible. So I can't just sit around and worry. I have to do something productive. But I realized for some people, not doing anything was their way of coping. And I need to give grace to them, let them figure this out. Everybody has the answers right away. Nobody knows what they want to do right away. And we were in a situation that's not common. Like I said, here in LA, I don't know about anybody else, in LA, we were locked down. There were things that were not open. Then we had the Black Lives Matter stuff happen, and there were protests and shootings. And so for a lot of things, like I said, for me, I just stayed home. I stayed home within my compound, not always outside either, because there's dangerous outside also in the neighborhood. Sometimes stayed in the house and just like did my shows and worked on something. I was like, okay, I'm not going to. Part of it was so I could live. Part of it was so I could survive. I was trying to survive, and in LA, especially, the cases were running rampant. It was huge out here, and I had a lot of friends who got COVID. I had people who died from COVID. I had family who died from COVID. So I mean, it wasn't a joke. I had friends who were doctors here, and it was no joke. So I know for me and for that area, for 2020, it was very. So I developed some habits I probably should have did, and that's what happened. And yes, I eat edibles, and yes, I do all kind of stuff. I do all kinds of stuff, whatever to calm the fuck down. Yeah, so Judy's another thing. Judy's mentioning about being alone during the pandemic. There are a lot of us who are single or who weren't near our families who were alone during the pandemic. During the whole lockdown, a lot of us were by ourselves. And so the talk was always about the folks who had somebody, and how tough that is. We know how tough that can be. I mean, I feel for all the parents with small children and with teenagers during that time period. It was rough for everybody all around, or take care of their aging parents. I give, or if you have health, like let me say, if you have health issues, all that stuff. My mother got breast cancer in the middle of the lockdown. We couldn't go to the hospital with her. Her husband was just beside himself. Like a lot of things were down, so it was horrible. Now, I think some of us who are by ourselves, who don't have a partner. My kids and grandkids are 400 miles away. I had to deal with this. There was 69 days I did not touch or talk to anybody outside the house, and I'll never forget that. I documented my first day leaving the compound, and I was hyperventilating leaving my yard. And I'm a person who always goes out. But I will say I had folks check on me. I had some folks check on me to make sure I was okay. One of them was Sean Kanan. He'd always check on me, see how I was doing. He's like, "You're my friend. I'll see how you're doing. You're single, blah, blah." That was kind of cool. So I'm just saying, it's one of those things where we have to. There were a lot of things that were going on. There were a lot of things that were going on that we just didn't. And see, luckily, Judy, I sold my house in 2019. I sold my second house last year, and things got a little better. But 2020, that was the craziest. Woo. And see, for me, it had just been 2 years earlier that I was home with Bell's palsy and by myself, and my face was paralyzed. So I was like, the Bell's palsy kind of got me ready for this in a weird way of being by myself, make sure because I had to make my house comfortable for me to live in, because I couldn't go anywhere. So and so I did that, and so that's why I kind of lucked out. I was like, okay, well, now it's time for the lockdown. I can do it. But again, going back to just the others who Maurice Barron said that, yes, it's just that thing, we don't know what people are going through. We have no idea what they're thinking, what they're doing. I've had friends who killed themselves, and you're like, but last night they were funny on Facebook. You really don't know. And if someone mentions something, you just overlook it. That's up to you. I mean, sometimes people do speak out on things, and people just kind of like, whatever. It's like, no, this is real shit. This is real shit. Going on out there. It's tough, kids. It's tough for everybody. We are just in the strangest of times. And for some may say the end of times. And I'm the religious side of me tends to believe that. I just feel like every time I mean, the news is never good. It isn't. And everybody's just fighting. It's really interesting. Everyone is just fighting. And people are busy defending their right to fight. That's what I think is interesting too. Is like people are just, you point out, why are you so mean, or why are you so this? They don't care. They want to. Now it's about, I have a right to say what I want to say, and it's like, that's all it's about at this point. Everybody's just shouting, right? Everyone is shouting, and I'm just like, can everybody just calm down? Let's have conversations. Let's just talk. No. I had an interesting conversation with somebody the other day, and it was like, we actually had a conversation. It was nice, but that rarely happens. People are just going buck wild. And I think I don't know how to get better. I really don't. People are depressed. They're upset. They feel like they're not getting enough money. They feel like they're not being seen, or they feel like they're being erased. That's kind of, well, Tony, I'm so sorry. We had to deal with Alzheimer's, and I think I'm dealing with dementia right now with a parent. So thank you. That's a hard one, Tony. I understand that one. It's not easy. But everyone, I mean, we're just, everyone in the world, it's just amazing. Everyone's upset. Everyone's upset. This guy killed himself and his 3 kids online the other night. I'm like, how do you, and they showed the video, how do you do that? I mean, it's just that there's people are losing their stuff. They had a coworker who announced on Facebook their husband was cheating. She was given the impression her health was the cause. I thought how brave she was. Somebody said she killed herself. Yep. That happens. There's one guy, I see him all the time. His name was Caesar. You see him all the time, surrounded by beautiful boys and always running around. And he killed himself the next day. Everyone's like, what happened? It's lonely in the middle. It's lonely at the top. It's lonely in a crowd sometimes. So people check out. I've had suicidal thoughts back when my face was paralyzed and I thought my life was over. I told you about it. I was in so much pain, and pain will do it too. So much physical pain and emotional pain and mental pain. I just thought, I'm going to end it all. I'm done. Why my life means nothing. What am I doing? Luckily, I didn't do that. I got help, and it happened. Why did I get help as someone else didn't? I have no idea why. Because I really was in a low place. And I just did. That's not even a judgment on anybody. It's like, I don't know why I chose to continue. I'm glad I'm still here for the most part. Some days are tough. They are. And some days I took those 3 months off because I had nothing else to give. Earlier this year, I'm taking 3 days once off the soaps. I'm taking time off of everything. I need to get back to myself. I literally had nothing left to give to anybody. And I'm glad I recognized that. I'm glad I was like, James, get to take a break. Some folks were not happy, and I'm like, I don't care. My health is more important, and my mental health is way more important. And in some communities, we don't talk about our mental health. Black men don't talk about their mental health. We have to talk about it more and more. Men in general talk about their mental health. People are starting to talk about it a little more now. But seriously, I will scroll once in a while on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or TikTok, and I'm seeing so many people who are so angry. They're just angry. And some folks just check out by doing drugs or drinking themselves to death or eating themselves to death or sexing themselves to death. They do. And I've been doing therapy. I've done therapy, and I have no problem with it. Judy, I'm glad you are too. And leopardess is true. It's not taboo anymore. But for some people, some communities, it's still a weird thing. But you don't like black folks don't go to therapy. You go to your pastor, or you go to your friends. You don't go to therapy. That's crazy. It's hard taking up for yourself, right? Sometimes it's really hard to stand up for yourself. You think it'd be easy, but no. And to sit there and go tell somebody no. Telling somebody no, it can be really tough, depending on who the person is, right? Telling somebody this doesn't work for me anymore. Telling somebody I'm not going to do that. That can be really tough. I had a situation last night where someone tried to confront me about something. I'm like, I was on a text. I was like, oh, I'm not. I don't run from stuff. I'm the first person to want to confront everything and talk it out. And it was just as we were texting, it was a miscommunication read. There was 3 questions. I answered 2 and 3, not 1, because I thought the text above it referred to 1 and canceled. So it was like this weird thing. And I was like, she was like, well, why answer the first question? I'm like, okay, no, first of all, I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to hide nothing. I let her know, I thought, and then I got to the heart of the matter. I'm like, does this person want me to, I got this whole thing. But it was almost like they're trying to confront me, like, why do you? I'm like, I'm not running. I am not running. Matt says, congratulated a coworker just yesterday for making the time to take time off work for next week. And he said he appreciated that. The thing is, you have to know your limits. You have to know your limits, and you have to acknowledge your limits and go, you know what? I'm done. I need to take a break, or I need to do this, whether it's for a day or for 3 days or for 3 months, doesn't matter. But you have to kind of go, yeah, I'm yelling at people, I'm short at people, I'm doing stuff I don't like to be doing. I need a little break. And for me, I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't anything. And just recently, I'm making a big decision for JLJ Media that I have a network meeting next Thursday. So that's as soon as we can get it. And I'm about to make some big decisions. And that's because I'm frustrated and upset at some stuff, but I gotta work it out. I gotta work it out. And so I talk to the people that are involved, and we're going to try to work it out. And that's the deal. And you guys will find out later what it is and everything. But it's okay. It's okay to recalibrate. It's okay to stop for a second. It's okay to take stand back. It's okay to do that. It's okay to take some time off. And that's what I did. 3 months. I was like, I couldn't write anymore. I had nothing left in me whatsoever. Nothing left in me. Nothing. I was dry as a bone. And I was like, and I was upset every day and crying all the time. And it's like, this is I don't like it. And so I was like, take time off. This should all be here or not be here when I get back. That's how I get it as. I'm like, I can't be driven by. I can't be driven by all this. it just has to be a fun experience. It has to be something that I'm enjoying doing. And now I'm re-energized. I'm enjoying doing this. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad to be back. I'm writing again. I have all kinds of stuff coming out of me. That's great and wonderful. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm feeling alive again. It's like that's the point. 25 years, we're not supposed to have twice. Well, I'm glad you're still here, Leopardess. I'm glad you're still trying to work it out. It's an everyday process. It's every day. And so we just have to give ourselves grace, compassion, concern, care, and for others too. And sometimes we'll do things that are not good. And I mean, there are monsters out there. There's some people who are monsters. I get that. But there are some people, it's addiction, it's mental health, and they're just not being treated the right way. I feel the same. That's why I'm on 2 weeks on my channel, off 2 weeks. That's the thing. That's the thing. You see, take your time. Take time off. That's the point. Just know your limits. I mean, I think sometimes we get into the habits and get caught up in that. I feel like I was on a hamster wheel. Like I was literally on a hamster wheel, just going and going and going and going. My phone rings, seriously, it still does, and beeps and buzzes all day long, every day. I woke up this morning to 2 requests. Two just this morning. I went to bed last night answering 2 or 3 requests. That's how my life is. I can't complain about somebody's life set up. And people are always grabbing at me all the time. They just are. And that's just how it is. Just how it is. And so, but I know when, if I don't have anything to give somebody, I can tell them, sorry, I don't tell you. I'm dried out. I don't know anybody, whatever. If I can help, I'll help. So you just got to kind of know your limits and boundaries. And that's something you got to do. Yeah. Hi, Gwen Marie. Hi, DC. Sorry, I said hi, people. Hi, DC Sub Sanctuary. Gwen Marie, Kristen Marie. Loving the subs. Love all you guys. Thank you for coming in, Matt. Thanks for coming in. It's not a happy show. Not at all. And sometimes life isn't happy. Sometimes life is cruel and it's ugly and it's sad and it's tragic. It's all those things. And I just think, we have to acknowledge that. And it's okay to acknowledge that. Everything's not sunshine and rainbows 24/7. It just isn't. It just isn't. And we've had a couple of tragic things happen recently that just there's no winners all around. There's just no winners at all. And I'm a little bothered by people just being super mean for being mean's sake. Just for being mean because they can. And a lot of people they can say stuff because they're online. So I get that 25% of that is just people just saying whatever they want to say. Really, they can. They can. But yes, rest and time away. Yes, it is great. It is great. That's what we gotta do. And now they're lifting certain restrictions from COVID, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. And it's all. We're still in the strangest of times. We are. I think we are. We're still in some strange times. And I'm very curious to see how 2023 and 2024 actually plays out. We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. Oh, yeah, more to you. As I head towards 60. Which is another thing. I'm dealing with family stuff right now, and I'm both ends of the spectrum. I'm like, wow. I'm like, in 7 years, I'll be 60 years old. That's kind of interesting. Like, that'll be here before I know it. I got to really figure it out. Frank is my number one too. So yes, and we will be back this weekend. This is daytime today. I guess I should mention that. We'll be back this weekend. 10 a.m. Wine Army Spotlight. 11 a.m. B Meetings Me Spotlight with producer KC Kasperzik. So it'll be live. The chat will be open. I'm sure it's gonna be lit. Oh my god, a producer. At 1 o'clock, Me and Frank are back talking about General Hospital, which, yeah. Yeah, so because you're a younger man, Matt, than I am, yes. Than I am. I don't lift the restrictions, but COVID's, I know, I'm like, COVID's not done yet, folks. And they act like it is. And it's monkeypox thing. Just so funny because I'm like, they're really pushing this monkeypox thing for, questions. I don't know what that means because everybody has their own feelings about it. I will ask the questions that I feel I want to ask, of course. I don't know what that means. Tough questions. I don't know what that means. I feel the funny thing about soaps, again, there are things that people feel I don't feel. So, and there are things that I do feel that others don't feel. I'll bring something up and go, well, geez, that's not important to me. And I'm like, well, it's to me. But they're like, polio's a concern again. Whooping cough is back again. Monkeypox is out there. There's a lot going on. But you know what I mean, DC. I'm being funny, DC, obviously, too. I'm being funny. But you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, what are the self-credit? I don't feel a certain way about certain things. The others do. People hate the Logans. I don't hate the Logans. I don't hate all that stuff. I'm going to ask him about one of the things I really want to talk to him about because I'm a production person. We're going to talk about Monte Carlo. I want to ask him, what's it like to film somewhere else? Logistically, how does that work? How do they pick locations? I know they're big over there. I want to ask him those questions. Kind of there because he's a producer. He's not the writer. He's not the director. Well, he directed some episodes, but he's not the writer. And he's not the main producer. He's one of them. But he doesn't make the final decisions. He also does Bold Live. I want to ask him what it's like to be a host of a live show because I know what that feels like. Because you think people come and attack me? I've been in them chats and Bold Live. They attack him too. They have no shame. Woo! Them bold folks have no shame. And someone asking about that. But it'll be a good episode. Me too, man. I'm the same way. I always want to know behind the camera what's going on. But we're gonna talk about stuff. Well, don't worry, we're gonna ask some stuff. But I think you'll enjoy the show regardless. If I don't ask questions that you want me to ask. Right, exactly. Right, exactly, DC. They have international, they're working at it. They're able to do that. They're able to do that. They went to Australia a few years ago. They're able to do that. So that means something. They ain't moving to Hulu or Paramount Plus. They're still on CBS. They're still on CBS, kids. So for some reason they're doing okay. So I mean, I hate to sound funny, shady that way, but that's how they are. So I just tell people, Cherie. So that's what's so funny. It's like so I'm excited to have him on the show. And trust me, some folks are like, you guys are ass kissers. You know that. I'm like, first of all, I'm not gonna invite somebody on my show to attack them. I will never do that. I will never bring somebody on my show. It's like saying, come over to my house and then I just like shit at my house. I will never do that. I'll never do that. Never. I will never do that. So that's this kind of thing. So anyway, and I'll speak for fans. I speak for myself. I try to ask questions I think could be interesting to the fans. So that's what I try to do on there. I can interview Eric Braden next week, also next Monday. It's gonna be a good interview. Don't worry. Eric talks about everything, politics. It's gonna be a good interview. We've had great interviews, of course. My evil Studio City Squad. Yes, that's Tony finally watched me yesterday, 2 days ago. It's kind of funny. Yes, but I don't in real life. That is acting on television. I don't do that in real life. But yes, I mean, we're back this weekend, so that's happening. They'll have the Eric Braden interview on Monday, and that'll be a nice little treat for you guys. I'm working on some guests for Bold, some more guests for YNR, and talking some stuff for General Hospital. I just been kind of like I say, it's been so hot and so crazy. I have not been as motivated as I'll do what I can. Like I said, I have a huge. issue to deal with in my business that I'm dealing with right now. So I have a huge issue I'm dealing with. So I've got to deal with that and do that. Tony would love it. Tony would love to be. We told that yesterday. He would love to be on days reoccurring, and then that might be able to happen. Now it's going to Peacock. Who knows, right? You never know. It's I would tell you guys, thank you guys are all in here sharing your therapy stories and stuff, and thank you for doing that. Eat a fatty. I would say Gary for now. Be fatty. That's funny. I think I'm DC. I'm just sitting back. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to sit back with open arms and see how this whole Peacock situation happens. Like I said, I told people I'm tired talking about it, and it's going to Peacock whether you like it or not. So at this point now, the shock needs to wear off, and now you got to accept it. Because you have to accept it. That's just the deal now. It is what it is. It is what it's going to be. It is what it is, and it's going to be. Exactly. So, okay, it's time for me to get off. I've been on here for an hour. It's getting hotter and hotter in my house. Let's see the weather right now. It is 9:22 here in Los Angeles, and it's already 76 degrees. And we're not even done. Not even done. Not even done. So, I'm glad you guys are sharing stories. I also want to tell people thank you for sharing your stories online too underneath the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for doing that also. So that's really cool. Okay, kids. Stay hydrated wherever you are. Stay, if you can, calm wherever you are. And thank you for coming on. And I'm going to now